The Mother series is one of the most beloved series by fans in the entire Nintendo game library, being both a commercial success in Japan and a cult classic in the States. But what happens when the desires of fans interfere with commercial viability? This is the story of why Mother 3 never made it to the West. In 1989, Nintendo published a single-player role-playing game by the name of Mother. Created by Shigesato Itoi, Mother differentiated itself from its peers in the RPG genre by not being set in a fantasy genre, foregoing swords and magic for real-world items and places such as baseball bats, laboratories, and household items, among other things. It went on to be the 6th best-selling game of 1989 in Japan, selling about 400,000 copies. While an official English translation was made for the game, it was seen as commercially unviable, and therefore never saw an official release outside of Japan for the time being. The Mother series wouldn't see an American release until 1994's Mother 2, which was translated and localized for a Western release in June of the following year. Not having seen or heard of Mother 1, Nintendo of America released the English version of Mother 2 as Earthbound. While being a hit among those who played it, the $2 million marketing budget was not reflected in sales figures, leading Nintendo to consider the project to be a commercial failure. However, even though it did not receive the attention Nintendo may have wanted, Earthbound has gained God-tier status, being ranked among the best Super Nintendo games of all time. And while American audiences didn't buy into it, it was yet another hit in Japan. Selling over 500,000 copies, it was the 10th best-selling game of 1994. This success would inspire yet another sequel. However, things wouldn't go so smoothly this time around. Development for Mother 3 began in 1994 for the Super Famicom, with Shigeru Miyamoto and Satoru Iwata being brought back as producers. The rest of the team from Mother 2 rejoined Shigesato Itoi for the next title in the series. Shortly therein, the team transitioned to the Nintendo 64. After seeing the technological advancements being made by Super Mario 64, they decided they could creatively flourish in a 3D open world. After exceeding the memory limits and capabilities of the Nintendo 64, the team was forced to scale back, also opting to change the medium from cartridge to the 64DD, or disk drive. In June 1997, Shigeru Miyamoto speculated that Mother 3 would be one of the 4 potential launch titles for the Nintendo 64 disk drive, a Japanese exclusive add-on to the console. Development went silent for about 2 years until a playable version of the game was shown at the Space World 1999 trade show known as Earthbound 64 in America. Due to the cancellation of the 64DD, it was announced that the game would be converted from a 64DD disc to a 256 megabit cartridge with an mission expansion disc. However, on August 20th, 2000, Itoi announced that Iwata had cancelled the game altogether. But not because they quit. It was because the necessary technology was simply not built yet. These resources would go on to be included on the GameCube. After 3 years of work and an estimated 60% completion made on the game, the team knew they had to reorganize their priorities. Missing their 1999 milestone, supervisors began threatening to cancel the project entirely, yet retracted as they acknowledged that cancellation would be wasteful. After acknowledging that the team had been caught up in the 3D obsession that came with the Nintendo 64, the team saved the story, hoping to utilize it in due time. In 2003, a port of Mother and Mother 2 was released on the Game Boy Advance. In a commercial for the game, a slide announced that Mother 3 was still in development.
Game Boy Advance.
大人も子供もお姉さんも再びマザー1-2ゲームボーイアドバンスで登場
Itoi knew that changing graphics for the Game Boy Advance would be required. Keeping the original story, he enlisted the help of Brownie Brown and returned to work on the project. Itoi returned to the pixelated style of Mother 2 because he was uninterested in computer graphics trends. While the Nintendo 64 version of Mother 3 was darker, dirtier, and overall more upsetting, the Game Boy version was more hopeful and promising. Itoi attributes this change in heart to his own growth, as well as the character composition of the new development team. The overarching themes of the game include morality, power, and maturity. One concept that eToy would later reflect is that bad people sometimes need even more help than the good people. After 12 years of development, Mother 3 was released in Japan on April 20th, 2006. The game went on to be a bestseller, selling 200,000 copies in its first week alone. The game was also a critical success, with the story, graphics, and music all being praised. Technology Tell called the game the perfect Game Boy Advance role-playing game. So, with all this praise, why was Mother 3 never localized for American release? Contrary to popular belief, Nintendo actually planned an English localization for Mother 3. However, rumor has it they feared the game would be too controversial upon release. The game contains instances of drug use and animal cruelty. Furthermore, the game's central theme of bereavement was also a factor. Bereavement is the process in which one is deprived of a loved one through a profound absence, especially due to the loved one's death. Lucas, the protagonist of Mother 3, loses his mother Hinawa immediately, with his twin brother Klaus disappearing to avenge his mother's death. Their father Flint leaves to find Klaus, leaving Lucas alone with his dog Boney. This concept is very dark, especially for a kid's game. So there you have it. The real reason Mother 3 never made it to the West, according to insider speculations, is that the game would have been too controversial for American audiences. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my Twitch if you want to see more unfiltered, unedited content. But yeah, this has been your boy Ben, aka Ben Jarman, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.